Liz Floman muses on how a single mistake can completely shatter a peaceful life, leading to an ill-fated relationship. The source of her problems is Crown Prince Adrian Vernity, a senior she desperately wants nothing to do with. He spots her in the academy hall and immediately scowls, telling her that the sight of her has already made it a bad day. Fed up, Liz fires back a sarcastic comment. Their verbal sparring ends with Liz taking a sharp jab at his great personality and wondering if his fiancé knows the real him. Liz doubles down on her teasing, bringing up his fiancé, Senior Biode. With a laugh, she says she's worried he might be accused of fraud marriage later on. But Adrian just smirks back, telling her not to worry about his business. He flips the script, claiming he's more concerned for the poor man who will eventually be her husband. Fed up, Liz decides they should never see each other again after graduation. As a final blow, she declares that if she were his fiancé, she would never marry someone like him. Liz returns from her confrontation, letting out an exhausted sigh. Her friend, Cana, immediately clocks her sour mood and correctly guesses she just fought with Adrian again. Liz complains about his terrible personality, but Cana cheekily remarks that he only acts that way around her. Internally, Liz admits she's the one who usually starts their fights. She has a talent for reading people, and she knew Adrian's smile was fake from the very first moment she met him. That strange, unsettling feeling she gets from him is definitely not a coincidence. Liz flashes back to the very beginning of their terrible relationship. It all started during a school assembly, where Adrian was on stage as the student representative. While everyone else was fooled, Liz saw right through his charming act, realizing his smile was completely fake. She panics, worrying she spoke the thought aloud. A quick glance confirms her worst fear. Adrian heard everything. For a split second, his mask dropped, revealing a cold, menacing glare. Liz knew then that her one mistake had kicked off a horrible feud between them. Liz feels a bit sorry for Adrian's rumored fiancé, Biode Chetier. She's a duke's daughter who is famously head over heels for the prince, and everyone assumed they'd get engaged. Liz knows Biode also hates her, so she asks Cana why. The answer is a total shock. It's because everyone thinks Liz and Adrian are close. Liz denies it, but Cana explains their long, frequent arguments look like flirting to outsiders. A flustered Liz can only argue that Adrian is always the one who starts their conversations first. Liz insists that Adrian is the one who always starts it, picking fights no matter how much she tries to avoid him. But Cana counters, pointing out that Adrian doesn't treat anyone else with that much attention. To Liz, it's not attention, he's just being a total pain. Fed up with the conversation, she decides to call it a night. She drifts off, thinking it's just another ordinary evening. But she wakes up to a shocking new reality. A strange voice from across a luxurious room informs Her Majesty that it's time to get up. Still half asleep, Liz groggily mistakes the maid for Cana, mumbling for a little more time to sleep. But the woman gently corrects her, saying her name is Ryra. She urges Liz to get ready for breakfast, dropping a total bombshell. His Majesty the Emperor is waiting. The word Emperor jolts Liz wide awake. Her eyes fly open as she shoots bolt upright in bed, completely panicked. She doesn't recognize the woman at all. Ryra simply tells her to get ready, as another maid announces that her bath is drawn. Before Liz can fully grasp the situation, maids pull her from bed and whisk her away. She tries to resist, but they swiftly guide her into a steaming, rose-petal bath. For a brief moment, the luxurious warmth is intoxicating. But her panic returns full force as she realizes this is no time for a spa day. The maids help her out and begin dressing her in a stunning gown and draping her in jewels. Looking around the antique, opulent room, a single thought consumes her. Where in the world is she? The maids finish their work, presenting Liz with jewels so expensive they're hard to even put a price on. Gazing at her reflection, she barely recognizes herself. It isn't just the fancy clothes. She feels like she's suddenly an adult, as if she's woken up in the future. Just then, a knock at the door announces the Emperor's arrival. Panicked, but knowing she can't refuse, she allows him in. A man enters and immediately commands everyone to leave. But his voice shocks her. It sounds so young, not at all like the old man she expected. The man before her is no old king. He's young, handsome, and shockingly familiar. He says her name, Liz Floman, and her jaw drops. It's Adrian Vernity, her senior from the academy. Panicked, Liz asks why he's there. She tries to get some answers, asking when he became the emperor. But Adrian just sighs, looking annoyed. He leans in close, his voice low as he fires back a question that completely breaks her brain. If he's the emperor, then when did she become the empress? Liz is speechless, her world tilting on its axis. Adrian's question hits Liz like a ton of bricks. Empress? Her? The idea is so insane her mind just short-circuits. That's impossible. She reels back, completely denying the very idea. This has to be some kind of twisted joke. In a dizzying flash, she pictures a grand hall, her thoughts screaming. How could she have married him, of all people? She recounts her last memory, going to sleep in her academy dorm room just yesterday. In a shocking twist, Adrian reveals the exact same thing happened to him. He went to bed in his dorm after sword practice and woke up here, in the future. Both of them feel like they had a weird dream they can't remember. Overwhelmed, Liz tables the mystery for now, saying they must focus on the imperial breakfast. Her mind flashes to an old king, nervously asking if they have to eat with the emperor. The imperial breakfast is beyond awkward. At the head of the table sits an older, intimidating noble who drops a massive bombshell. He casually remarks that it's been 4 years since Adrian took the throne. Liz chokes on her food, her mind screaming. 4 years. While she's having a full-blown internal meltdown, Adrian coolly plays along, agreeing how fast time flies. Liz is stunned by his flawless acting, but his calm facade drops for a moment as he sends a freezing, silent glare right at her. This is clearly a warning. The old noble turns to Liz, worried by her unusual silence. He reveals her future self is super bubbly and even calls him father, a fact that sends a shiver down Liz's spine. Is that really her? She glares at Adrian, who's just watching her struggle. The noble then casually asks if their baby is cute, and Adrian stammers out an agreement. But the real bombshell drops when the old man asks when he can finally hold his grandchild. The question hits them like a truck, causing Liz to spit out her drink in shock. Sweating bullets, Adrian forces a smile, insisting he's perfectly fine. He tries to dismiss the old noble, saying he wants time alone with the Empress. But the noble finds this formal title suspicious, pointing out they usually use pet names and asking if they had a fight. With a chillingly sweet smile, Adrian clarifies he wants to be alone with Liz. After the noble finally leaves, the door clicks shut. Liz immediately confronts Adrian, accusing him of orchestrating the whole awkward scene. His smug smirk is all the answer she needs. With a patronizing smile, Adrian decides to sort out the situation for her. He calmly lays out the cold, hard facts. First, it's 5 years after he took the throne. And second, they've been married for 3 of those years. Liz's brain completely short-circuits. This is insane. It has to be a nightmare. She tells him as much, but Adrian just coldly agrees, saying he hopes it is too. A light bulb goes off for Liz. She recalls you can't feel pain in dreams and asks if he'd retaliate if she slapped him. He confirms it's an obvious question. With only one option left, Liz's hand connects squarely with Adrian's face. He stares, utterly speechless. She then pinches her own cheek, wincing from the sting. It hurts. This is definitely not a dream. Adrian's shock quickly boils over into pure rage. He grabs her face, scolding her for her crude behavior and reminding her of her position as Empress. What if someone had seen them? Liz just dismisses his concerns since they were alone. With the dream theory debunked, Adrian insists they need to figure out their next move. Adrian lays out the plan. They have to face this head-on and act normal to avoid suspicion. Liz understands, but her voice quakes as she asks if he isn't scared. While he seems calm, she's terrified. She just went to sleep and woke up 5 years in the future as the Empress, married to him. Everyone treats her with a baffling familiarity. Adrian begins to say something, but cuts himself off. Instead, he coldly tells her to go to her room and walks away, refusing to explain as she follows him. Liz isn't letting him off the hook. She demands to know what he was about to say earlier, but Adrian brushes her off, claiming it wasn't important. Liz presses on, arguing that people can't read minds and will misunderstand his silence. He finally concedes her point, admitting that he isn't a mind reader either. Before the tense conversation can continue, a man sprints down the hall, frantically shouting for the Emperor. Adrian asks Liz if she knows him, and she vaguely replies with a maybe as the man rushes closer. The man, Darian, finally catches his breath, scolding the Emperor for slacking off. He comments on their famously strong bond but insists duty calls. Internally, Liz wonders what on earth their future selves did to get that reputation. After Adrian dismisses him, Darian turns to Liz with an important reminder. Only 1 week remains. Playing dumb, Liz blames her poor memory and asks what's happening. Shocked she could forget, Darian reveals the big event is none other than her own birthday, leaving Liz completely speechless. A lady with orange hair, Layla, asks Liz if she enjoyed breakfast. Liz stammers that the meal was fine, but the news she heard after was a total disaster. It's her and Adrian's 3rd anniversary party. Internally, Liz completely panics, having no clue how to act. Layla notices her odd behavior and checks her forehead for a fever. Though Layla remarks that she seems strange, she smiles warmly, reassuring Liz that she's still the kind person she's always respected. She offers her help, revealing that Liz has already saved her once before. Liz realizes her relationship with the future Layla was more than just master and servant. She sees genuine trust and affection in Layla's eyes, a warmth totally different from the servants she knew back home. While being loved feels nice, Liz feels she hasn't earned this devotion. What could have happened in the last 5 years? Touched, Liz genuinely thanks Layla for her kindness. As the lady leaves, Liz's thoughts drift to her friend, Cana, and a pang of loneliness hits her. A new day dawns, her 2nd morning in the future. Adrian cuts straight to the point, asking if Liz did anything suspicious. She flinches and denies it, but internally sighs at his sharp perception. He warns her to be certain about her role, reminding her that being the Empress is a heavy burden. Liz insists she doesn't take it lightly. Adrian gives a grim warning. Enemies are watching, looking for any weakness. He stresses that her mistakes will drag him down too. This serious conversation leaves him looking drained, and Liz points out how tired he seems. Liz gets his point. He needs her to act perfectly so no one gets suspicious, and she nervously agrees to try. Adrian then brings up their biggest problem. They need to figure out how they both woke up 5 years in the future. Liz admits she has no plan, much to his annoyance. He tells her the immediate threat is their 3rd anniversary party in 1 week. With all the ministers watching, she absolutely cannot make any mistakes. He heads off to deal with work, but as he leaves, he softens a bit, telling her not to be too afraid. Liz asks if he means she shouldn't mess up just because she's scared. Her mind races, thinking about all the balls and banquets. The one thing they all have in common is dancing, and she's absolutely terrible at it. Ever since she bombed her childhood debut, it's been a total nightmare for her. Adrian then drops a bombshell. The anniversary party starts with their dance. Panicking, Liz suggests they just kill the host to get out of it. But Adrian calmly explains that won't work. When he asks what the problem is, she wails that there are just too many problems. 5 days later, Adrian asks Liz if she remembers his warnings for the upcoming banquet. Clutching her dress, she nervously admits she has a huge problem. She can't dance. When he asks if she even knows the steps, she stumbles badly. Unimpressed, Adrian offers his hand and tells her to stand up. He pulls her into a dance position, promising to lead slowly. Completely shocked, Liz asks if they're really going to practice right now. He simply confirms and she panics, silently begging him not to step on her foot. Adrian instructs Liz to follow his steps, but she immediately stomps on his foot and apologizes profusely. Though annoyed, he tells her it's fine and to just keep dancing. Determined, Liz practices with him from sunset until deep into the night. She even practices alone whenever she gets the chance. As carriages begin to arrive for the banquet, Liz feels proud of her progress. She just wishes Adrian, who has been swamped with work, could have been there to see how much she improved since their first lesson. Just as Liz is lost in her practice, a maid interrupts, announcing she has a visitor. Confused, Liz asks who it is. The maid reveals the guest is Lady Bodette Chettier. The name sends a jolt through Liz. She remembers Bodette all too well from her academy days. The powerful senior noble had been the most likely candidate to become Empress, and there were even talks of her marrying Adrian. Now, the woman who was supposed to have this life is here to see her. Liz remembers Bodette all too well. The woman who was supposed to become Empress absolutely despised her. Back in school, Liz didn't care, assuming she'd never see Bodette again after graduation. But now, the tables have turned. Liz is the one wearing the crown, and her old rival has requested a meeting. Knowing she can't avoid it, Liz steels herself for the confrontation. Bodette gracefully enters the room, a practiced smile on her face. She calmly congratulates the Empress on her 3rd wedding anniversary, the unspoken tension hanging heavy in the air. Liz tries to be polite, but the look she gets from Bodette is pure poison. The contempt radiating from her old rival is 10 times stronger than it was back in school. They suffer through painfully awkward small talk about the weather and the royal anniversary. Liz silently begs for the meeting to end. Finally, Bodette rises to leave. With a smile that doesn't reach her eyes, she wishes the couple continued happiness, leaving the unspoken threat hanging in the air like a guillotine. The battle has just begun. Bodette wishes them happiness for a long time, but her smile is pure ice. Liz sees right through the act. She knows those words are a complete lie. The expression on Bodette's face is so fake, it's almost laughable. Still, Liz forces a polite thank you, hating every second of the charade. She never wanted to have this kind of relationship with her old senior. No one in their right mind would want to make an enemy of the powerful Chedier family's only daughter. The day before the banquet, Liz gets another visitor. She's stunned to see it's her old friend, Canaria Cecil. 5 years has changed Cana from a cute girl into an elegant lady. Unlike the hostile Bodette, Cana was always a close friend, which makes this reunion feel strange. Liz fumbles through awkward small talk about the party preparations. Cana just laughs, finding the situation amusing. She playfully reminds Liz how she used to insist she disliked a certain someone, teasing her about her past feelings. It seems Cana hasn't forgotten a thing. Cana keeps teasing Liz, reminding her that she and Adrian got married right after graduation. Liz finds the thought of them becoming a famous, loving couple completely insane. Cana laughs, recalling how Liz used to complain non-stop about the crown prince. She jokes that Liz was already plenty rough back then, even if Liz herself felt she was holding back. The new name, Liz Bernetti, still sounds weird to Liz. She changes the topic to Bodette, revealing that the senior noble already congratulated them on their 3rd wedding anniversary yesterday. Cana sighs, calling Bodette frustrating. She points out that the older noble is well past marrying age, yet remains single. The only explanation, Cana says, is that Bodette is still aiming to become Empress. Everyone knows Liz and the Emperor are a happy couple, but that hasn't stopped the senior noble's persistence. Still, Cana doesn't think Liz has anything to worry about. She then announces she has to leave, casually mentioning that her husband is waiting. The word husband sends Liz into a full-blown panic, and Cana can't help but notice her friend's bizarre reaction. Liz nervously laughs, trying to play off her strange behavior by saying she's just tired. But Cana's expression turns serious. She reveals that on one particular day, Liz changed completely. Their whole dynamic shifted overnight. Before Liz can even question it, Cana suggests a double date with their husband soon, adding a cryptic remark that it won't be long now. She quickly departs, leaving Liz baffled. Elsewhere, Layla is buzzing with excitement. After all, today is the grand banquet celebrating the Emperor and Empress's 3rd wedding anniversary, and she can hardly wait. The day of the 3rd anniversary banquet has arrived, and Liz is a nervous wreck. She put on a brave face, but now she's terrified she won't be able to fool everyone. She feels a small sense of relief knowing her parents are traveling abroad. She could never lie to them. A knock at the door breaks her spiraling thoughts. Maids enter, announcing it's time to get dressed. As they work, they shower the Empress with compliments, gushing over her flawless skin, silky hair, and declaring her the most beautiful woman in the empire. Though flustered by the compliments, Liz looks at her reflection and admits she finally looks the part of an empress. A knock at the door announces the Emperor's arrival. Taking a deep breath, she allows him to enter. Adrian walks in looking incredibly dashing. He coolly remarks that clothes make the man. Liz retorts, asking if that was meant to be a compliment. The sudden question makes Adrian blush bright red. He quickly turns away, muttering that they're going to be late for the banquet. Liz teases Adrian, asking if he's actually calling her pretty. Visibly flustered, he admits it was a compliment, but tells her to stop clinging to him. Liz is genuinely surprised that the cold-hearted Emperor can even be nice, finding his embarrassment a rare sight. As they walk toward the banquet hall, she shivers in the chilly night air. In a swift, silent motion, Adrian drapes his own coat over her shoulders. Stunned by the unexpected gesture, Liz looks down at the heavy fabric, wondering if this could be a sign he's starting to care. Liz wonders if Adrian's gesture means he was actually worried. Her hopeful thoughts are cut short when she spots maids watching them, gushing over what a loving couple they make. It dawns on her instantly. This was all an act for the public. Even so, she pulls the heavy coat tighter, grateful for its warmth. They arrive at the banquet hall far too soon. Forcing a shaky smile, Liz tries to psych herself up, desperately hoping she can fool everyone tonight. Adrian senses her anxiety and tells her to relax. But Liz can't wrap her head around his calm demeanor, asking how he can be so composed. As they walk toward the hall, he explains that even after 5 years, he's still just himself. He's no saint or wise man. He assures her there's nothing to worry about. He admits there might be some minor differences in their situation now, but he promises that ultimately, nothing significant has truly changed between them, hoping to put her at ease. Liz finally understands why Adrian is so calm. She'd always seen her past self and her future self as two completely different people. To her, this future was like dealing with a stranger's problems, and it still felt incredibly unsettling. But Adrian is the opposite. He calmly assesses the situation and finds solutions, like a guide illuminating a dark path. Liz realizes she could never be like him. She's just a child surviving in an adult's shadow. At this moment, she has to admit it. She is young, and he is an adult. The grand doors swing open, and an announcer proclaims their arrival. It's showtime. Without missing a beat, Adrian tells Liz to link arms with him. She nervously places her hand on his, immediately feeling the sheer force of his presence. He's so imposing. As they make their grand entrance, the room erupts in hushed whispers. The nobles are completely starstruck, gushing over the emperor's power and the empress's beauty. They call them a match made in heaven, completely fooled by the perfect picture they present. Liz is totally thrown off by the crowd's praise. She wonders if people seriously think they look good together. While Adrian has always been handsome, she's now convinced he completely outshines her. Suddenly, his voice rings out, thanking the nobles for celebrating their 3rd wedding anniversary and telling them to enjoy the banquet. Liz watches him, totally stunned. This powerful, imposing emperor is a completely different person from the senior she knew. He's playing his part perfectly, and strangely enough, she finds herself thinking it's totally fine. Adrian suddenly announces it's time to dance. Liz is immediately annoyed by his bluntness, internally scolding him that a proper gentleman would ask politely. When he mockingly asks if that would suit him, she shoots him down with a flat no. As they take the dance floor, he teases her about her funny, concentrated expression. She tells him to be quiet, staring intently at their feet. He jokes that her intense glare might just pierce his foot. Then, with a straight face, he calls her ugly, leaving Liz absolutely stunned and furious, asking Liz how she thinks they appear to the nobles. Before she can answer, he states that to everyone else, they look like a perfectly loving couple. He tells her they just need to maintain this perfect performance until they can get back to their own time. With a challenging smirk, he asks if she's up to the task. Liz firms her resolve, telling herself she can absolutely do it. After all, this is all just an act. Before she can recover, an attendant announces that the emperor and empress are taking their leave. Adrian stands, telling her it's time to go. Still red-faced from her yawn, Liz quietly agrees to follow him. The grand exit is on. As they stroll through the palace's stunning garden, Liz gathers her courage. She asks Adrian why he always hides his true emotions. He stops walking, the sudden silence, making Liz regret her question. But then, he gives her a chilling answer. He explains that the moment you show your true feelings, they become arrows that pierce you. Liz is completely thrown by his grim response. She's incredibly curious about what he means, but she can tell from his pained expression that she shouldn't ask any more questions. Liz backs down, seeing a deep loneliness in Adrian's eyes. Changing the subject, she asks the one question on her mind. Will they be able to return to their own time? Adrian gives her a firm, confident yes. His answer has no real basis, but his unwavering certainty is surprisingly powerful. Liz decides to trust him. Taking the lead, she grabs his hand and declares they should work together to find a way back to the past. He takes her hand in his and agrees. It's a deal. The royal banquet is scheduled to last for 3 days. On Adrian's orders, he and Liz skipped the first day's festivities. To avoid any awkward encounters with people who might recognize her, Liz decided to hide out in her room. Her quiet time is interrupted when her lady-in-waiting, Layla, asks why she hasn't been to the library lately. Layla explains that the Empress usually reads there whenever she's bored. This new information catches Liz completely by surprise, making her wonder just what kind of person her future self really was. Spurred by this new information, Liz realizes she can't just rely on Adrian. It's time to find a solution herself. Her first destination is the Imperial Library, a legendary place containing every book on the continent. As a regular noble, she would have never been allowed inside. But now, as the Empress, she has the qualifications. For the first time, she truly appreciates her royal status. Filled with new determination, she calls for her lady-in-waiting, Layla. Liz declares that she needs to visit the library right away. Liz arrives at the magnificent Imperial Library, a place she's only dreamed of entering. A man is waiting for her, greeting her warmly as Your Majesty. He says he was worried because she'd been away for so long, adding a compliment that she's as beautiful as ever. Taken aback by his familiarity, Liz can only offer a simple thank you. The man then leads her to a private room, explaining that only the Empress can enter. Turning to her lady-in-waiting, Liz instructs Layla to wait outside. It was time to find some answers. Inside, the sheer scale of the Imperial Library leaves Liz speechless. A friendly librarian named Lady Pretzel greets her, remarking that it's been a while. After complimenting the Empress's dignified aura, she asks what kind of book Liz is looking for. Liz hesitantly requests books on legends or theology. She's not sure if they'll have the answers, but she's desperate. It's her only hope for understanding this strange phenomenon. Understanding her vague request, Lady Pretzel nods and leads her deeper into the library to the right section. Liz asks Lady Pretzel if the books can be borrowed. The librarian confirms she can. Staring at the massive collection, Liz feels a wave of exhaustion, but she needs answers. She decides to check out the books since Layla is waiting outside. 2 days pass, and Liz finds herself at another silent breakfast with Adrian. Breaking the tension, she suddenly announces that she has a place she needs to visit. A small smile plays on Adrian's lips as he looks up, intrigued. He asks her where she means to go. Liz calmly states her destination, a northern village called Oral, well known for its delicious apples. The Emperor's father, who is also at the table, asks why she chose that particular place. Before Liz can speak, Adrian smoothly interjects, explaining that she seemed tired from the banquet and he thought a trip would be refreshing for her. Liz is floored, realizing he's using her as an excuse. His father readily agrees, telling them to enjoy their time. Suddenly, Liz blurts out that he's lying. A confused Adrian asks what she means, and she fumes that he's just using her. Liz dismisses the trip, stating they don't have time for apple picking. She gets straight to her real purpose, asking Adrian if he's heard of a man named William Ganda. Adrian recognizes the name, calling him a great mage. The books described Ganda as a legendary figure who rewrote the history of magic before mysteriously disappearing. Liz explains that only powerful mages can perform time regression magic, and Ganda might be their only hope. Though she doesn't know where to find him, she confidently says she knows how. A curious Adrian asks her to explain. Adrian is stunned when Liz reveals she's met William Ganda before. Before he can even process the news, she declares that the legendary mage is the savior of her life. Liz then recalls an old story about the Emperor's past. When Adrian was just a young crown prince, he joined a monster hunting party. However, the knights kept him far from any real danger. Annoyed at being treated like a child, the determined young prince secretly slipped away from the camp, looking for some real action on his own. The young prince ventured deep into the forest, completely lost. Before he could turn back, a massive monster cornered him. Believing his end had come, Adrian braced himself. Just then, a mysterious hooded figure appeared and saved his life. Liz reveals this savior was the legendary mage, William Ganda. Back in the present, Liz is stunned, asking if he's lying. Adrian confirms the story is true. The mage had demanded a reward and even gave him an address. He opens a drawer, revealing the secret he's kept for years, certain Ganda still lives there. Liz drops another bombshell, revealing she found letters between William Ganda and her future self. This discovery is why they must find him immediately, with absolutely no time for apple picking. But Adrian calmly tells her to relax, explaining that Ganda's residence is conveniently located near Oral, their destination. It all clicks for Liz. The trip wasn't just a vacation. Adrian had planned to help her find the mage all along. A wave of relief washes over her as she realizes she couldn't have done this alone. Looking at her husband, she feels genuinely reassured to have an ally. Their journey begins, heading towards the remote Oral village at the northern edge of the region. This quiet town, known only for its apple exports, is a long way from the capital. To uphold royal dignity, they travel by a grand carriage, its horses' hooves clopping steadily along the road. Before leaving, Liz's maid Layla wished her a wonderful time with the Emperor. Liz simply thanked her, promising she would be back. As they departed, Layla watched them go, repeating her wish for them to enjoy their time. Inside the lavish carriage, Liz watched as Adrian immediately buried himself in paperwork. She sighed, thinking he must be a workaholic to start working the second they departed. The journey was long, and as night began to fall, their procession came to a halt in a dark forest. A royal guard rode up, announcing they would have to camp for the night. Adrian calmly acknowledged the order, but his gaze quickly shifted to Liz. He noticed she had gone pale and was trembling slightly, clearly not feeling well. Liz internally panics, realizing this is her first time ever camping. Adrian immediately clocks her worried expression and asks what's wrong. She tries to brush it off, insisting she's fine, but her terrible acting just makes Adrian smirk. Annoyed, she mutters for him to go ahead and laugh at her. Suddenly, he yanks her out of the carriage. Stunned, she asks what he's doing. He simply tells her to hold his hand, reminding her that everyone is watching them. It was all for show. Liz gratefully thanks Adrian as he helps her down from the carriage. He tells her it's only natural, as he can't let her get hurt. Watching from a distance, rude Ganda remarks how close the two always look. Darian adds that their affectionate display feels intentional. Soon, a maid announces that dinner is ready. Liz is thrilled, picturing a simple camp meal like in novels. However, she's stunned to find a luxurious spread of steak and wine. She realizes this lavish setup is just for the two of them, a dinner befitting royalty. After their lavish meal, a guard gestured to a large tent, announcing it was for both of them. Liz paled, blurting out, "Together?" Adrian coolly asked if there was a problem. She quickly backpedaled with a forced laugh, saying she forgot since they have separate rooms at the palace. Warning him to stay on his side, she was stunned by his cold reply. He'd rather cut off his own hand than ever touch her. Inside the surprisingly spacious tent, Liz's relief was cut short by a monstrous growl coming from the darkness outside. Trembling in fear, Liz grabs Adrian and begs him not to abandon her if a bear appears, admitting she genuinely thinks he would. Annoyed, he dismisses her fears as nonsense and tells her to get some sleep. After that tense first night, their trip becomes surprisingly peaceful. Liz realizes her biggest challenge wasn't the wilderness, but sharing a room with him. Yet, her worries were for nothing. Adrian proved true to his word, sleeping in the corner and never once getting close to her. Liz reflects that during their journey, they sometimes stayed at inns and got separate rooms, a gesture she thought was considerate of Adrian. But now, a new concern popped up. Even on vacation, Adrian worked nonstop. He suddenly caught her staring and asked why she was looking at him. Flustered, Liz just commented that the Emperor seemed to have a lot of work. His only reply was a dry question asking if she was just now figuring that out. She urged him to relax, but he paid her no mind, prompting their arrival at Oral tomorrow. To break the awkward silence, Liz asked Adrian about a legendary figure named William Gander. The man was a myth, said to have shattered human limits, a successor to the gods, or even a dragon in disguise. With a story that epic, Liz could only picture a wise old man with a long, white beard. She asked Adrian what Gander was like when they met, assuming he was an elderly person. Before Adrian could answer, his expression hardened. A sharp command to get in formation suddenly rang out, and the night erupted into chaos. Adrian whipped around, demanding to know what was happening. A frantic voice from outside shouted that a group of orcs was attacking. Liz's blood ran cold. Orcs were just a lesson from a textbook, a common monster she never imagined she'd actually face. As Adrian prepared to head out, she grabbed his arm, asking if he was leaving. He gave her a simple, firm order. "Stay here and don't move." Overcome with worry, Liz could only beg him to be careful. He glanced back with a small, confident smirk before facing the danger. Watching him go, Liz realized Adrian wasn't scared at all. She, however, was terrified. A selfish part of her wanted to scream for him to stay, to not leave her alone in this dangerous situation. She shook her head, trying to force the feeling down. The best way to help was to stay quiet and out of the way. She tried to steady her breathing, but it was no use. A terrifying shadow loomed over her. Right in the doorway stood a monstrous orc, and her world turned red. Her mind went blank with a single, horrifying thought. Am I going to die? Liz's mind screamed with the horrifying thought that she was about to become an orc's meal. The monstrous creature loomed in the doorway, its shadow swallowing her whole. She knew she had to run, but her body was completely frozen with terror. As more monsters began to file into the room, a desperate no ripped from her thoughts. Just as the creature lunged, a flash of brilliant purple light tore through the darkness. A blade sliced cleanly through the air, striking down the monster standing over her. A mysterious savior had arrived. As the dust settled, Liz's vision cleared. She stared in shock at the man standing before her. It was West, her senior from the academy. Before she could process anything else, a sharp knock to her head snapped her back to reality. Crying out in surprise, she demanded to know why he had suddenly hit her. Unfazed, he told her to relax her face, dryly commenting that with her expression, people might think he was the orc. Liz was left speechless by his nerve. Still trembling on the floor, Liz looked up at Adrian. The words tumbled out before she could stop them, confessing how utterly terrified she was. She truly believed she was going to die. He reached down and gently placed a hand on her head. In a soft voice she'd never heard from him before, he told her it was okay.
He was here now.
Liz's eyes widened in shock, staring up at the gentle smile on his face. Adrian observed how terrified she was, but Liz brushed it off as a normal reaction. Her mind racing, she asked if he was hurt and why the orc had appeared. He theorized that an orc lair must be close, deciding they would send an expedition team later. Liz nervously managed to thank him for his help. When he questioned her, she got flustered, clarifying that she was thanking him for saving the Empress. Adrian crossed his arms, stating it was only natural. After all, it would look bad if rumors spread about an emperor who couldn't even protect his wife. Liz sighed, annoyed that her heartfelt thanks were met with such a cold response. She should have known better. Thankfully, the orc attack hadn't caused any major damage. Once the startled horses calmed down, they were able to continue their journey. The next day, they finally arrived at the magnificent gates of the William Ganda residence. The place looked like it was pulled straight from a fairy tale. But with no one around to let them in, Liz wondered what they would do. Just then, the heavy iron gates creaked open all on their own. As Liz stepped forward, the heavy gates slammed shut with a deafening clang, trapping her inside and separating her from the others. The guards on the other side stared in disbelief. Adrian immediately told her to wait there. Panicked, Liz argued that it was too dangerous. Just then, a little boy cried out, calling her mama and pleading for her not to go. Despite his cries, Liz apologized, insisting she also needed to see William Gander. Deciding to take charge, Adrian announced he would go in first while she waited outside. Liz frantically questioned why Adrian was going in first. He coolly explained that William Gander doesn't accept unauthorized visitors, and he wouldn't be able to meet the man if she came along. Her hopes dashed, Liz couldn't believe her bad luck. As a last resort, she pleaded with Adrian to at least get her an autograph. As he walked toward the mansion, the sound of footsteps behind her made her jump. Whipping around, she saw a man with striking blue hair. He smiled calmly and greeted her with a simple hello. Adrian approached the mansion, finding it completely silent with the main door shut. He figured someone must be home since the outer gates had opened for him. Grasping the handle, he called out, taunting whoever was inside and asking if they wanted to play. He knew they were there. As he expected, a voice immediately invited him in. The heavy door creaked open to reveal a man with long, lavender hair. The mysterious figure stood calmly and greeted Adrian, noting that it had been a while since they last met. The mysterious man, William Gander, looked down his nose at Adrian, calling him Little One. Adrian ignored the jab, cutting straight to the chase and admitting he needed help. This guy was nothing like Adrian expected. He looked surprisingly young, but his condescending attitude hadn't changed a bit. William poured a cup of cocoa, telling the emperor that little ones should drink it. Adrian shot back that he was 24 years old, but William just called him Little One again. Getting down to business, Adrian insisted he had a question. William finally gave in, asking what he wanted. William Gander called Adrian out for not paying attention, noting that the emperor had been staring out the window the entire time. He asked what was so interesting. Adrian's gaze remained fixed on the garden below, where Liz was chatting with the mysterious blue-haired man. He thought it was odd for someone else to be here, especially in a mansion with no servants. Turning back to William, Adrian questioned his guests-only policy. With a serious look, he demanded to know the identity of the man with Liz. William casually revealed that the blue-haired man, Rude Ganda, was his son. Confused, Adrian asked how old he was. William's answer was even more shocking: 24 years old, the exact same age as Adrian. This made zero sense. The legendary William Ganda was known to be ancient, living for well over a century. Adrian couldn't wrap his head around it. The lavender-haired man then delivered the final, clarifying twist. Rude wasn't William's biological son at all, which only raised more questions for the baffled emperor. Meanwhile, a special delivery arrives just for Liz. A voice announces that a gift has been prepared for Her Majesty. Liz's eyes go wide when she sees it, a strawberry cake of absolute perfection. But she quickly slams the brakes on her excitement, scolding herself. As the Empress, she can't just accept food without knowing what's inside. She desperately tries to control her cravings, but the temptation is overwhelming. Liz is on the verge of tears, fighting a losing battle against her own sweet tooth and the magnificent dessert calling her name. Liz nervously turns down the cake, insisting she isn't hungry. But Rude just smiles, easily guessing her true concern. He reassures her that the cake is perfectly safe, pointing out that William Ganda's mansion is no place for shady business. Relieved, Liz caves and takes a tiny bite. Instantly, her world lights up with flavor. It's divine. One bite turns into another, and soon the entire slice is gone. As she wonders who could make such a masterpiece, the man finally introduces himself with a gentle smile. His name is Rude Ganda. Liz's brain freezes. Ganda? As in, the legendary magician William Ganda? Rude casually confirms it. William is indeed his father. Liz, completely starstruck, works up the courage to ask his age. His answer drops like a bomb: 24 years old. This sends her into another spiral. He's the exact same age as Adrian. But before she can overthink it, a new voice clarifies the situation. Rude isn't William's biological son. He was adopted at 19. Mortified by her obvious shock, Liz just nods along as Rude politely asks why she's here. Trying to act casual, Liz explains she's here because the Emperor has some business to attend to. But as Rude just looks at her, a strange feeling of familiarity washes over Liz. She blurts out, asking if they've ever met before. The second the words leave her mouth, she regrets it, noticing his awkward expression. Internally, she realizes his gaze feels comforting, like an old music box from her childhood. Rude suddenly breaks the tense silence with a laugh, playfully wondering what's taking His Majesty so long to appear. Rude surprises Liz by guessing she graduated from Mirabel Academy. Turns out he's an alumnus too. This gets Liz thinking, if he went there, he must have known Adrian. Rude confirms it, but calls the Emperor a difficult person to approach. Liz can't help but agree. She flashes back to their school days, remembering how Adrian was a social butterfly who was kind to everyone except her. Meanwhile, Adrian is meeting with William Ganda. He gets right to it, asking the powerful magician about cases of time travel or people entering future bodies. William Ganda coldly shuts Adrian down, claiming he doesn't know and wouldn't meddle even if he did. The magician explains that time magic is a forbidden art. The success rate is disastrously low, and it always makes the arrogant pay a heavy price. Desperate, Adrian asks who else he can possibly turn to for help. William offers a single lead: his son Rude. Since he is retired, Rude is now his official successor. Adrian understands and departs, leaving William to sigh and call the determined emperor a foolish boy. Liz finds herself smiling, surprised by how easily she gets along with Rude. They seem to like and dislike all the same things, even discovering they're both terrible dancers. Just as they're hitting it off, Adrian suddenly appears, sternly telling Liz it's time to go. Surprised he finished so quickly, Liz can't help but comment. Adrian coldly asks if she's disappointed. Flustered, she denies it. The Emperor then turns to her new acquaintance and asks if he is Rude Ganda. Calmly, Rude confirms his identity and formally greets His Majesty, leaving Liz stunned. Liz asks Adrian if he knows Rude, but she immediately clocks his grim expression and wonders if something went wrong in his meeting. Adrian ignores her question, flatly stating that Rude told him Liz should go with him. Confused, Liz is shocked when Adrian reveals Rude is William Ganda's official successor. The political weight of this hits Liz hard, taking him could spark an international crisis. As they walk away, Adrian teases her for being slow, but Liz just thinks he's not being honest. Finally, she asks him what they should do about Rude now. Liz asks why Rude can't just come with them now. He calmly explains that he'll follow later since he needs to greet his father and organize his things. Adrian cuts in, asking how long he'll need and offering to send a palace carriage. Liz is impressed by the VIP treatment, realizing a talent like Rude can't be missed. Rude estimates about a week, and Adrian agrees to wait. But then, the Emperor asks if they've met before. The question sparks something in Liz, who also realizes her new friend seems strangely familiar. Adrian suddenly asks Rude if they've met before, the question hanging in the air. Trying to be helpful, Liz explains that Rude also graduated from Myrdal Academy. Rude simply confirms it with a calm smile. In a quick flashback, Liz waves a cheerful goodbye, telling him she'll see him at the palace. But back in the present, her good mood has vanished. She confronts Adrian, who has obviously failed his mission. Frustrated, she demands to know why he returned empty-handed and where the autograph she needed is. Later, Liz hits the royal library, hoping to find answers herself. An attendant notes how quickly she read a book. Liz forces a smile, explaining that while the book was fine, it didn't have the crucial information she was looking for. It seems she's back to square one in her search for the truth. A library attendant wishes Liz good luck with her research. When the attendant offers to reshelf a book, Liz politely refuses, explaining she's already memorized the layout. The attendant then informs her that the maximum number of books she can borrow is 5 per day. Liz knows she has to choose carefully. She selects a stack, promising to return them on time. But the attendant is surprisingly chill, telling her it's okay to be a little late. With her new books in hand, Liz is ready to get back to her investigation. Back in her quarters, Liz is wiped out from all the research. She tells a servant where to put the heavy stack of books, desperately hoping to find a clue. Just as she settles down with a cup of tea from her attendant, Layla, an unexpected letter arrives. Liz's eyes widen when she sees the seal. It's the emblem of the Anglelid Duke's family. A flash of panic crosses her face, but she quickly plays it off, stammering that she had just forgotten for a moment. Something about this letter is a big deal. Liz's mind races as she stares at the seal. The Anglelid family, along with the military and the royal family, are one of the 3 great powers supporting the empire. The letter must be from Darian, the Duke's youngest son, and a senior she knew from her academy days. She finds this strange, remembering he never once spoke to her back then. It seems her future self built a relationship with him. She cautiously opens the letter. The card inside reads, "To my beloved Empress and my friend Liz." Her jaw drops. Friends? With the Duke? This is yet another mystery. Just as Liz wraps her head around one bizarre letter, Layla hands her another. This one is from Duchess Canaria. Liz is floored. A letter from her senior, Cana? The note is short, mentioning an upcoming couples tea time, and that Cana is looking forward to it. Liz stares at the invitation, completely bewildered. A couples event? What is Cana so excited about? And more importantly, who is Liz supposed to go with? This future just keeps throwing curveballs, leaving her more confused than ever. Liz approaches Adrian, asking if he also received the letter. He confirms that he did, right around the same time she got hers. Holding up the invitation from Cana, Liz nervously asks him what people even do at a couple's tea time. To her surprise, Adrian admits he has no clue since he's never been to one. Liz confesses she hasn't either, and an awkward silence descends upon them. Panicking, Liz blurts out that their senior, Cana, actually married Darian, trying desperately to fill the silence with any topic she can think of. Liz tells Adrian that she learned Darian quit the Night Order and married Cana as soon as he returned from his expedition. She finds this surprising, since she never thought they had a connection. Lost in thought, she wonders if they were secretly dating. Adrian's voice cuts through her confusion, asking what's on her mind. Liz asks him if he knows how they met. His expression flickers for a moment before he admits he didn't know either. Liz is stunned. Did Cana and Darian really keep their relationship a secret from everyone? Trying to regain control, Liz awkwardly states that they'll have to act like a proper couple for the upcoming tea party. But before she can continue, Adrian cuts her off, stating he has something to say. A faint smirk plays on his lips, and Liz is stunned. She accuses him of laughing at her. Fired up, she vows to deliver a perfect performance and break his arrogant attitude. On the day of the party, Liz looks absolutely breathtaking. Admiring herself, she thinks he might as well be honest and just tell her she's beautiful. Liz waits for a reaction, but Adrian just stares at her, silent. Getting impatient, she asks why he isn't saying anything. With a confident smirk, she tells him she's just kidding. But before she can finish her taunt, Adrian cuts her off, quietly telling her she's pretty. Liz freezes, completely stunned. Her brain short-circuits as she asks him to repeat himself. Instead of answering, Adrian gently takes her hand. With a charming smile, he says it's time to go, reminding her they have to act like a couple now. He leads her by the hand toward the garden behind the palace. As they walked towards the gorgeous garden gazebo, Adrian leaned in and asked Liz if she was nervous. She couldn't lie and admitted she was. Taking a deep breath, Liz tried to compose herself, thinking his earlier teasing had surprisingly helped her relax. Before he could respond, their arrival was announced. A cheerful, pink-haired lady beamed at them, welcoming them to the party. Liz found it strange to hear the cheerful lady, Cana, speak so formally. Before she could ponder it, a young noble named Darian greeted Adrian with a respectful bow. The emperor smiled warmly, glad to see Darian looking healthy. With the introductions over, Cana officially started the tea party. The mood was light as Darian complimented his mother on her beauty. She graciously thanked him, adding that his wife, Cana, was also very elegant. Cana just laughed, modestly saying they were flattering her. The polite conversation flowed smoothly around the table. The polite chatter continues as Adrian asks Darian how he's been. Darian proudly reports on his new export business, and Adrian expresses his gladness to see him doing so well. When Darian turns the question to Liz, she gives a stiff, formal answer, saying she's well thanks to the Empress's support. Internally, Adrian fumes, telling her to cut it out. Cana notices the awkward vibe, thinking they seem way too stiff compared to how they used to be. Sensing the tension, Cana sweetly offers Darian a cookie, showing off their own lovey-dovey relationship. Darian happily munches on a cookie, and Cana immediately gushes over how cute he is. She then asks for a bite in a baby voice, completely shocking Liz. Internally, Liz cringes, thinking she's seen something she shouldn't have. This lovey-dovey act is so out of character for the Cana she remembers. As Cana playfully wipes a crumb from Darian's cheek, a disgusted Adrian asks Liz if that's really her friend. Looking just as mortified, Liz hesitantly confirms that she is for now. Darian then asks his mama if something is wrong. Cana quickly dismisses Darian's concern, apologizing for meddling. She explains that she was just surprised because Liz and Adrian are usually so affectionate with each other, but they seem unusually stiff today. Suddenly, Adrian leans close to Liz. He whispers that their cold attitudes are making people suspicious. To avoid any weird rumors, he suggests they put on a show of being a loving couple. Liz is absolutely disgusted by the idea, glaring at his smug expression and struggling to keep her composure. Liz grits her teeth, telling herself she isn't doing this because she wants to. She decides that for now, she's not an empress, but Adrian's lovely and charming wife. With newfound determination, she flips her acting switch on. Turning to Adrian with a sugary sweet smile, she coos his title. Adrian is completely taken aback, wondering what's gotten into her. With a brilliant laugh, Liz asks Adrian if the cookie she fed him was delicious. Cana is completely convinced by the performance, admitting her suspicions must have been her imagination. Once their audience is fooled, Liz quietly asks if the act is over. Adrian confirms it is, but then a sly grin spreads across his face as he announces it's his turn. He picks up a cookie and coolly holds it to Liz's lips. Before she can protest, he shoves it right into her mouth, forcing her to take an unwilling bite. Adrian sarcastically calls Liz wholesome for eating so well. Gritting her teeth, she retorts that he almost bit her finger off. Liz laughs nervously, pointing out that his comment didn't sound like a joke, but Adrian just smiles and plays it off. Unaware of the tension, the other nobles watch from afar, completely convinced by the performance. They swoon over the lovely imperial couple, calling their relationship a blessing. One lady even brings Liz a drink, concerned the cookie might have made her throat dry. Everyone is completely fooled by their act. Liz watches as Cana dotes on another noble, Darian. He was once known as the ruthless sword of the empire, a warrior without mercy. But under Cana's gentle touch, the tough guy completely melts, blushing like a schoolboy. Liz can't believe it's the same person. She thinks he must be completely in love to show such a sweet side. The lovey-dovey display makes her feel a bit strange. Her gaze then shifts to Adrian, and she spots some familiar cookie crumbs still clinging to the side of his mouth. Liz snaps out of her thoughts, catching Adrian staring right at her. She asks him what he's looking at. He bluntly replies, "Cookie," and points out the crumbs on her face. Before she can react, he slowly reaches for her. But instead of wiping the crumb from her cheek, his fingers gently brush against her chin. Liz freezes, flustered by the sudden closeness. Internally, she screams that he's touching the wrong spot. Annoyed and baffled by his strange behavior, she decides she'll just have to get it herself. Tired of his games, Liz decides to wipe the cookie crumb off his face herself. Adrian freezes at her touch, his cheeks flushing as he quietly tells her to stay still. She grumbles internally that he's more helpless than a child. Fed up, she yanks her hand back, calling his behavior annoying and concluding it's pointless being kind to him. Later, as they walk through the gardens, Cana remarks how relieved she is to see them acting normally. Another noble asks Adrian his plans, and he reveals he's staying at Cana's family residence for an upcoming banquet. Liz's mind races as she realizes they're heading to Cana's mansion, which means another stuffy banquet. She overhears some nobles whispering about the suspicious Chetia duchy, but her own problems feel much bigger. Suddenly, rude Ganda corners her, asking why she's been acting so weird all day. Ignoring him, Liz turns straight to Adrian and tells him to promise he won't get mad at what she's about to say. Completely baffled, Adrian just asks why. Liz begs him again, leaving him totally confused by her strange request. Adrian surprisingly agrees to her strange request, giving his promise. Liz then asks him a deeply personal question, if he's lonely. He scoffs, calling it nonsense. Freaking out, Liz quickly tries to play it off as a stray thought. In her mind, though, she feels he's looked sad ever since her breakup with Darian. She then stuns him by blurting out that he was her only person, leaving Adrian utterly speechless at her sudden and confusing confession. His expression changes as she starts to explain what she meant. Liz immediately regrets her words, mentally cringing at her own weird confession. Adrian echoes her strange statement, demanding to know what she means by only person. Taking a breath, Liz finally explains that she's envious of him. He's the crown prince, loved and trusted by everyone, with an exceptional appearance to match. She admits that while her own family is notable, she feels she can't compare to his perfection. Completely baffled by her logic, Adrian just asks why she would ever envy him for any of that. Adrian hits her with a chilling question. Can she tell the difference between a friend and an enemy? Liz has no idea what he's talking about. He asks if she's ever been so paranoid that she doubted someone's kindness, worried about being poisoned, or feared a smiling face would betray her. After a moment, Liz replies that in this treacherous place, Darian is the only friend she can truly rely on. Hearing her answer, Adrian's expression darkens as he confirms she trusts Darian completely. Darian asks if Liz is referring to his previous confession. Internally, he believes that showing your true feelings only creates a weakness for others to attack. His thoughts drift to Liz, a person from 5 years in the future who has already overcome so much. In his mind, she's built a new life and now protects someone who isn't him, a fact that stings. He tells her this might be hard to understand, maybe even sound like childish whining. Then, he looks her dead in the eye, asking if she regrets her confession to him. Liz agrees with Adrian, admitting she doesn't fully understand his world of constant suspicion. She reflects that she's lived a simple life, and being on guard is difficult, even as Empress. Adrian thinks back on his own ignorance. He had always been annoyed by her fake smiles and hostility, never bothering to see that her smile was a shield. Liz's hand tightens into a fist. She knows her words might hurt his pride, but she has to say something. The image of his lonely face haunts her, and she can't stay silent any longer. Liz declares that in this crazy future, they are comrades. They're both going through the same thing and have the same goal, to get back home. Adrian stares back, totally confused by her sudden speech. She presses on, admitting that while she isn't Darian, they have no choice but to rely on each other. Gathering her courage, she looks him in the eye and asks if, at the very least, he can trust her. His eyes widen in complete shock. A moment of silence hangs in the air before he suddenly bursts out laughing. The laughter sends Liz into a spiral, reminding her of a past vow to never be kind to him again. But just as her anger peaks, the mocking laughter stops. Adrian's usual smirk is gone, replaced by an expression she can't decipher. He looks at her and quietly says, "Thank you." Liz's mind goes completely blank. She sputters, asking if he's joking and wondering if this is all just a dream. Maybe a demon is possessing him? Adrian bluntly tells her to snap out of it. Flustered, she nearly accuses him of having a personality disorder before stopping herself. Annoyed, he asks if he should take his words back. After a tense pause, he quietly admits that he doesn't hate her. The confession hits her like a lightning bolt. Stunned, she calls him a liar, demanding to know why he's always treated her so horribly. Adrian bluntly tells her it was because he didn't like her. Completely baffled by his logic, Liz decides it's useless to ask any more questions. She changes tactics, puffing out her chest and promising not to betray him, even if he's a bit annoying. Her serious declaration sends Adrian into a fit of laughter. He sarcastically calls her promise reassuring, since her face gives away every single thought. Then, his expression shifts, and he says she can't betray him, calling her the only trustworthy assistant in the palace. Liz readily accepts her new title. Beaming with newfound purpose, Liz happily declares that she looks forward to working with him, Senior. She extends her hand for a formal shake, then quickly gets flustered and clarifies she just means they should cooperate well. Adrian accepts her hand with a firm grip, echoing that he too looks forward to working with his new assistant. As they shake, Liz reflects on Adrian's hidden depths. She realizes he's not just a jerk, he's a lonely person who wants to trust others. And, she silently admits, he has a pretty smile. A man's voice suddenly echoes in Liz's mind, saying he looks forward to the year ahead. The memory fades, and she finds herself sitting with Adrian at an enormous, empty table. Trying to make small talk, she asks him what he's looking forward to. As usual, Adrian gives a cold, one-word answer. He doesn't know. But before Liz can press him, a group of ladies at another table pipe up. They assume she's talking about the Emperor's upcoming birthday, gossiping about how the Empress Canaria planned every tiny detail with a huge smile. As the other ladies gush about their great chemistry, Liz starts to panic. She's supposed to host the Emperor's birthday party? She's never even planned her own. An unsettling memory flashes through her mind of a time she accused a younger Adrian of hiding something from her. But her feelings are ignored. The very next day, a mountain of documents is dumped on her desk. As her maid Rerica brings in even more stacks, Liz is completely buried, silently pleading for someone to save her from this paperwork nightmare. Drowning in paperwork, Liz can't believe the endless details her future self managed, even the number of candlesticks. She groans, realizing this micromanagement is why people thought they had great chemistry. Just then, Adrian walks in, casually telling her to work well. He stops dead, seeing her buried under mountains of paper, and mutters that he must have the wrong room. Barely clinging to sanity, Liz sarcastically thinks that if he's looking for the dying Empress, he's found her. Adrian just stares, thinking her condition looks extremely serious. Fed up with his blank stare, Liz suddenly pinches Adrian's cheek, telling him to stop scowling because she's busy. He glances at the mountain of paperwork and, to her shock, offers to help. A spark of hope flashes in Liz's eyes, but she quickly extinguishes it, insisting she'll handle it herself. Confused, Adrian asks why she'd refuse. Liz scoffs, asking why he's pretending to be clueless. She's completely convinced he's just playing dumb about the real reason she can't possibly accept his help, leaving Adrian baffled by her rejection. Liz puts her foot down, refusing his offer. In her mind, it's completely wrong to make the guest of honor help plan his own party. She has a conscience, after all. She insists he should just sit back and enjoy the celebration. Adrian's response catches her completely off guard. He just quietly says, "Congratulations," leaving Liz utterly baffled. Trying to regain control, she shoos him away, telling him to go rest. If he gets sick, it will just be harder for her. He agrees and turns to leave, but his words spark a sudden realization in Liz. As Adrian turns to leave, a thought strikes him. He mentions that he heard rude Ganda entered the palace the other day. Liz is instantly on high alert, demanding to know why he's only just telling her. Adrian coolly replies that he saw no reason to. Fired up, Liz insists there was a very good reason. Rudd is her friend, though she privately admits they never officially confirmed it. The word friend echoes in Adrian's mind. He finds the title amazing, a connection far deeper than being a simple assistant. Liz is totally thrown, demanding to know what Adrian means by his cold tone. Just when she thought they were finally getting a little closer, he's acting like a complete stranger again. Her mood, already low, hits rock bottom. She slumps in defeat, feeling even worse than before. But then, she remembers her purpose. With only a week left until the big birthday bash, Layla notices Liz looking totally drained. She suggests Liz take a short walk to get some fresh air, worried about her health. Liz agrees that resting is important and decides to go for a stroll, asking Layla to prepare some hot cocoa for her return. When Layla offers to accompany her, Liz politely declines, saying she'll just be right out front. Liz steps out into the cool night, finding the fresh air wonderfully refreshing. But her peaceful stroll is cut short by a sudden rustling in the nearby bushes. She immediately tenses, wondering who it could be. This path was reserved for nobles, so it couldn't be a palace worker. Plus, no one should be out here this late. Just as her mind races, a familiar figure with bright blue hair emerges from the shadows. To her complete surprise, it's none other than her friend, Ganda. Liz calls out to Rude, who is completely surprised to see the Empress out so late. He quickly apologizes, explaining that the Emperor had told him she was incredibly busy. He felt it would be impolite to intrude. But Liz just laughs, reassuring him that she was just happy to see a familiar face. Rude then asks if she had a good visit with her father. The question suddenly makes Liz realize something important. She hasn't seen her own parents at all since arriving in the future, and now wonders what they're like. Liz admits to herself that while she's curious to see her parents, she's also afraid. Rude snaps her out of her thoughts, asking why she's out alone so late. She explains that planning the Emperor's birthday banquet is more work than she expected, and she just needed a quick break. Rude hopes he isn't disturbing her, but Liz lights up, saying she's actually glad to see him. When he asks why, she gives a huge, radiant smile and declares it's because they're friends. But Rude's expression darkens as he quietly repeats her words. Liz happily explains that since they get along well, they must be friends. She even offers to officially become friends right then and there. But Rude's intense, serious expression makes her pause. She asks why he looks so grim, a sudden fear creeping in that he only treated her well because she's the Empress. To her shock, Rude looks confused and asks what friends are supposed to do. He confesses he's never had a friend before. Liz explains it's for sharing memories and experiences, providing emotional support for each other. Liz enthusiastically explains that being friends means continuing to share experiences together. Rude quietly considers this new concept, then asks if he is really that kind of person to her. With a huge smile, Liz confirms they already have great memories and she wants to keep being his friend. A small, genuine smile finally appears on Rude's face as he agrees. Now that they're officially friends, Liz curiously asks why he was wandering the palace grounds so late. He sheepishly admits he was trying to memorize the layout. Rude explains he needs to go to the market soon, so he was just learning the route. Suddenly, an idea sparks in Liz's mind. Rude confirms he plans to go alone since he doesn't know anyone in the capital yet. Finding this lonely, Liz worries he'll get lost and offers to join him, boasting that she already knows the way. Rude is completely taken aback, asking if she really means just the two of them, a commoner out with the Empress herself. Rude gets completely flustered, asking if her coming along would be a burden. Liz immediately shoots that idea down, pleading with him to let her join. When he points out they don't have an escort, she has the perfect solution. He can be her escort. She cleverly adds that bringing a whole entourage would just draw unwanted attention. To sweeten the deal, she mentions wanting to buy things and enjoy some tasty street food. Relenting, Rude agrees, but insists she must stay close. Liz beams, promising it'll be fun, and she's already looking forward to it. Rude formally agrees to her plan, addressing her as the Empress. Later, as Liz gets ready for their secret outing, her lady-in-waiting Layla questions if she really has to go this far. Layla offers to prepare the best gift for the Emperor herself, but Liz is determined. She insists that as his wife, it's her duty to do it personally. Plus, she wants some fresh air. Announcing her departure, a worried Layla begs her to be extremely careful. Liz reassures her she'll just stick close to the guards before heading out. Liz breathes a sigh of relief, grateful to Layla for helping her sneak out of the palace unnoticed. Spotting her target, she calls out to Rude. He whips around, completely stunned. It's the Empress, but she's dressed like a commoner from head to toe. As she steps into the light, a confident smirk appears on her face. She proudly declares that this is her disguise for their secret outing, leaving Rude speechless at her bold plan. Liz breathes a sigh of relief, happy they got out of the palace undiscovered. Rude asks why she's in such a rush, and she explains she promised her maid she'd be back before sunset. She's also worried she might get caught by her senior. But after a while, Liz starts huffing and puffing, admitting the outing is tougher than she thought. Noticing her struggling, Rude stops and asks if she's tired. Before she can reply, he tells her to hold on as a bright blue light suddenly glows from his hand. A soft green light suddenly envelopes Liz, and she feels her exhaustion melt away. Stunned, she asks if this is magic. Rude calmly confirms it is, explaining that he cast a spell to refresh her. Beaming with newfound energy, Liz declares that he's amazing as always. In this world, casting magic is incredibly difficult. It requires two things: a perfect, complex ritual and innate magical power. Without being born with this rare ability, all the knowledge in the world means nothing, making true magicians an extremely rare sight. Liz is totally floored. She knows body recovery is incredibly advanced magic, and Rude pulled it off in less than a minute. It's official, he's the true successor of the legendary William Ganda. Later, as they wander through a bustling marketplace, Rude asks Her Majesty what she'd like to buy. Liz immediately cuts him off, annoyed. She insists he stop with the royal titles and just call her Liz. After all, they're supposed to be blending in, and the whole point is to act like normal people for a day. Liz points out that calling her Your Majesty completely blows her cover. The formal title totally defeats the purpose of their disguise. Rude gets a little flustered, but after a moment's hesitation, he softly says her name, Liz. She beams, happy that he finally gets it. Now on a first-name basis, Rude asks what she's doing here. With a bright smile, Liz says she's buying a birthday gift. Then she adds another reason. She wants to create some good memories with him today. Liz decides she wants to look at some books first. She enters a cozy-looking bookstore, and the owner asks if he can help her find anything. Liz explains she's looking for a gift and asks for recommendations. Unfortunately, the old shopkeeper is hard of hearing and keeps asking her to repeat herself. Getting flustered, Liz gives up and decides to just browse on her own. Suddenly, a horrible thought strikes Liz. Giving a book to someone who is already swamped with work is just adding another chore to their list. She starts to panic internally, realizing her gift idea is a total disaster. Rude notices her distressed expression and asks if there's a problem. Liz admits she was being thoughtless and needs to find a gift that the person actually needs. Understanding her dilemma, Rude steps in and offers to take her to a special shop that he knows. It looks like he has the perfect solution. Rude leads Liz towards an incredibly lavish building, explaining it's a shop his father often visits. Liz is completely shocked. The notorious William Ganda frequents a place like this? As they approach, a voice from inside says they're closed. Rude calls out to a woman named Rarica, who immediately swings the door open. Her face lights up with joy. The green-haired woman fusses over Rude, gushing about how handsome he's become. She then cheekily tells him to call her Mom, but Rude instantly shuts her down with a flat refusal. Rarica's sharp eyes immediately see through the Empress's disguise. Liz is flustered, surprised she was recognized so easily. When Rarica asks why they've come, Rude simply states he's running an errand for his father. After a moment of thought, Rarica turns her full attention to Liz. She politely asks the Empress to wait while she gets things sorted, inviting her to browse the goods in the meantime. As a bonus, she even offers a special discount, just for Her Majesty. While Liz looks around the opulent shop, Rarica can't help but admire her kind demeanor. As Liz browses the shop's fascinating collection, she snaps back to reality, remembering she needs to pick a gift. Rarica immediately notices the Empress admiring an exquisite music box and praises her good taste. She explains it's a masterpiece by a famous artisan. When asked if she wants it, Liz thinks it would be the perfect gift for her overworked senior. Liz decides the music box is the perfect gift. She asks Rarica if it's for sale. The shopkeeper claims she wouldn't normally sell such a masterpiece, but for Her Majesty, she'll make an exception. Liz asks for the price, and Rarica casually holds up 3 fingers. Her heart sinks when Rarica confirms it's 3 gold coins. Crying on the inside, Liz reluctantly hands over the money, feeling completely scammed. As she recovers from the painful purchase, her eyes land on another stunning item, a beautiful golden pocket watch gleaming nearby. Rarica praises Liz's keen eye, asking if she likes the golden pocket watch. She then offers a special discount just for Her Majesty. But Liz breaks into a cold sweat. After buying the music box, she's practically broke. Seeing her hesitation, The shopkeeper sweetly explains that if it's a gift for someone important, she can adjust the price. Hope flickers in Liz's eyes. She confirms it's for someone she is very grateful to. Amused, Rerica promises to give her a special deal and warmly invites her to visit the shop again soon. As Liz happily leaves with her new gifts, Rerica watches her go. The shopkeeper muses on that rude fellow, remembering Liz had wanted to meet him. But a nagging feeling interrupts her thoughts, like she's forgotten something important. Suddenly, pure panic sets in. She mixed up the music boxes. The gorgeous piece she just sold to the Empress plays a truly awful, ear-splitting tune. Rerica tries to calm down, recalling the box has some weak recovery magic. She shrugs it off, figuring it's probably good enough and hoping it won't matter. Liz tells Rude she's glad everything is settled at once. He asks if she likes the music box she bought. Beaming, Liz says she loves it and is sure the person receiving it will be very pleased. Rude comments that even though His Majesty has picky tastes, he should appreciate this gift. But then he falls strangely silent. Puzzled, Liz turns around, wondering why he stopped talking. She finds Rude with a dark, pained expression, his hand gripping his collar tightly. He quietly asks if she was shopping for the Emperor's gift. Liz happily confirms it is. Rude quickly masks his pained expression, telling Liz the Emperor will surely be pleased. She quietly hopes he's right. With their business done, Rude suggests they move on, but Liz suddenly asks if he's hungry. He admits he is, pointing out a stall with delicious-looking skewers. Her eyes light up in excitement. Liz declares she'll go buy them and tells him to wait. Before she can even get up, Rude has already returned, handing her the savory snack. A surprised and grateful Liz thanks him for the kind gesture. After their snack, Liz and Rude enjoy a pleasant walk back through the city. As evening approaches, Rude says it's time to return, and Liz agrees. Once they arrive at the palace, she tells him she had a wonderful time. He replies that he enjoyed himself as well. But before she leaves, Rude stops her. He presents her with a stunning gold pocket watch, a gift to thank her for the day. Liz is completely caught off guard. Touched by his thoughtfulness, she realizes with a jolt that she didn't get anything for him. Rude clarifies that she already gave him a gift. Liz is completely baffled for a moment before a memory of the lamb skewers flashes in her mind. Mortified, she realizes she traded a cheap snack for a priceless pocket watch. Back at the palace entrance, she sincerely thanks Rude for the day. He blushes, admitting he also had a great time. Liz smiles, glad he enjoyed himself. As she heads inside, she mentions that Layla will probably be running to the Emperor soon. Rude simply watches her go and tells her to head on in. Meanwhile, back at the palace, someone announces their return to the Emperor. Inside, Cana stumbles upon a flustered Layla, who seems to have tripped. Seeing that Layla is perfectly fine, Cana eyes her with suspicion. Instead of grilling her, she smoothly changes the subject, telling Layla to try something on. She presents Layla with a beautiful hair ribbon, explaining it's a gift she bought just for her. Completely baffled by the kind gesture, Layla can only ask if the present is really meant for her, which Cana happily confirms. Visibly moved, Layla stammers out her thanks, promising to cherish the ribbon. Cana playfully tells her to hurry up and helps tie the beautiful gift into her hair. She declares that it suits Layla well, bringing a genuine, happy smile to the noblewoman's face. But then, Layla immediately starts taking it off. Cana asks if she dislikes it, but Layla quickly explains the ribbon is too precious for casual wear. Hearing this, Cana just smiles to herself, deciding she will simply have to buy Layla even more gifts in the future. Liz clutched a gift, wondering how the senior nobles would react. She hoped they would at least show a little happiness. The next day, the Emperor's grand birthday banquet arrived. The entire city was in a festive mood, celebrating with food and drink supplied by the palace. As the hostess, Liz had been busy preparing since early morning. Though she found it troublesome, she knew she had to look perfect for her husband's big day. As her maids finished their work, a stunning necklace was fastened around her neck, making her look as elegant as a swan. Her maids finished their preparations and took their leave. Liz, now alone, nervously wondered how to present her gift to the other ladies. Suddenly, a firm knock came from the door. It was Adrian, telling her to bring it. Taking a deep breath, Liz stepped out to face him, looking absolutely radiant in her gown. She was about to ask what he thought, but the sight of the Emperor in his magnificent attire left her speechless. In a shocking moment of connection, they both had the exact same thought. The other was so beautiful, they felt ashamed.